Do you have furniture that doesn't fit your home anymore, but you don't really want to get rid of it? Maybe it has sentimental value to you, or maybe it's because you don't have the money to buy brand new furniture at the moment.
Believe me, been there, done that.
I've been there, I've done that, I completely understand. If that's your situation, then you came to the right place, because today I'm gonna show you how to transform old, unwanted furniture using only a few simple tools, make it in a super affordable DIY project. Hi, my name is Agnieszka, and every week I transform furniture, saving it from the landfill. I started my furniture flipping journey 3 years ago when I moved into a new apartment together with my husband. We simply couldn't afford to buy new furniture at the time, or any furniture at all, but luckily for us, the old owner left her vintage furniture to us.
Lucky me!
I didn't have the heart to get rid of these beautiful vintage pieces, and my budget was very tight. So even though we lived in a small 2-room apartment and knew nothing, but absolutely nothing about furniture flipping or DIY, we decided to use what we had and transform some of the pieces that was already there. So if you are like me and are looking for an affordable way to furnish your home, this video will give you all the information you need to get started. And this week I will be transforming this Swedish vintage chest in a very beginner-friendly way. But before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel and share this video with someone who would love to do a DIY project. It will help us so much to reach the DIY and home interior enthusiasts like us. I got this piece for $25 from Facebook Marketplace, where I find most of my furniture to flip. As soon as I saw the drawers, I knew I had to get it because this kind of wood grain is pretty hard to find around here. But after a close inspection, I realized this dresser has 4 or 5 different wood types, which could make it for an interesting look. Since this piece has been standing in my garage for a while, I started by cleaning it from all the dust. Next, I move on to stripping the varnish. I get asked a lot if you can just sand the varnish off without stripping or scraping it off first. And the answer is no. Varnish is typically quite thick and will clog up the sanding paper very fast, and you will have to use way more sanding paper than necessary. Chemical stripper or paint stripper might be a little sticky and not everyone likes to work with it, but I find it very useful as it makes my job so much easier and faster. All I do is to apply it and leave it for around 30 minutes depending on how thick the varnish is, but usually you can see when it starts working as the varnish will start to bubble. Next, I use a spatula to remove as much of the varnish as possible. There was still quite some varnish left on the dresser, so I got my Carbide Scraper out and scraped off the rest of it. I could have used it from the beginning, which is great if using paint stripper is not an option for you. All you have to make sure of is that the blade is sharp so that you don't work twice as much and remove the varnish with ease. To sand the dresser, I used my Orbital sander and 120 grit paper. If you don't have an Orbital sander, I highly recommend that you get yourself one. Mine cost around $90 and has worked great so far. It's perfect to sand flat surfaces and will leave a perfectly smooth surface. But be careful when you sand thin veneer that you don't want to sand through. These drawers were sanded before, so I did unfortunately sand through a little bit. But to avoid that, let the machine do its job and don't push on it or tilt the sander to make the work go faster. Just have patience and you will get great results. So my initial plan was to remove the varnish and keep the natural wood, using only wipe on per click to, enhance the wood and kind of make it pop it out. But once I removed all of the varnish, I realized it didn't look good at all. There was like 4 or 5 different wood types and nothing worked together, in my opinion. So what I'm gonna do instead is to paint the body. But of course I'm gonna keep the drawers natural because these are so beautiful and kind of unique. It's pretty hard to find wood like that. So like I said, I'm gonna paint the body but keep the drawers natural, and we'll see how it's gonna look in the end. I am not priming this dresser today, and there are 2 reasons for that. Reason number 1 is that I did sand this dresser to its bare wood, so when I'm gonna apply the paint, it's gonna go directly into the wood. It won't scratch off at all. And reason number 2 is that I'm painting with black, so I don't have to worry about bleed through or the paint getting yellow or anything like that. But when I paint with a very light color like white or beige or anything like wood light shades, then the wood would actually bleed through and look very yellow and leave stains, and it would look disgusting. So whatever you're gonna paint with light color or on laminate or varnish, you need to use primer.
To make this flip as beginner friendly as possible, I used a paintbrush from Zebra to apply the paint on the edges where the roller couldn't reach. This paintbrush is great for smooth application and leaves minimal brush strokes, which is perfect both for beginners and pros. But of course, time is priceless, so to paint the rest of the dresser, I used a fine, flocked paint roller. It's the type of roller that's kind of hairy, but in my opinion will get you the best results. I've used both this type of roller and a foamy one, but would highly advise to use this one for the smoothest application and end result. And the trick to keep the roller from drying out is to put it in a plastic bag and keep it in the fridge. That way you won't have to clean it before applying a second coat of paint. One coat of paint is never enough, so as soon as the first has dried, I went back and applied second coat following the same procedure. Last but not least, it was time to take care of the drawers. Like I mentioned before, I did unfortunately sand through the veneer a little bit, so to mask that up and add a little depth to the wood, I applied an oil-based stain in color brown. To seal and protect the wood, I used Mini Wax Wipe-On Polyacrylic. I've used Wipe-On Polyacrylic before and was so disappointed, although it was from a different brand. But this product worked like a charm. I poured a little bit on the drawer and used my kids' old pajamas to smear it out. You can instantly see how the wood grain popped out and looked much more healthy, so to say. Here's one more look at the dresser before. It looked old and tired, and you could barely see the beautiful wood on the drawers. And here is the final result. I personally love the contrast between wood and black, especially with the brass hardware. And since I stripped the original varnish, you can actually see the wood grain underneath the paint. But I'm curious to know, what do you think about this transformation? Do you think it was worth it or not? I hope to hear from you in the comments, and remember to follow us for more inspirational videos like this one.